This is the new Mercedes-AMG A45 and I want to know how it compares to the old A45, and if you got one of these, whether you should sell it immediately and get one of these new ones instead. And to do that, I'm going to compare their performance. Power, come on! Test their brakes. See what they're like to drive. Yeah, mum. Critique their designs. Starting to look a bit old-fashioned, isn't it? Inspect their cabins.
Hello, I'm the new A45.
And of course, poke them with a stick. Have I scratched it? Now, before we get into that, make sure you're subscribed to this channel and hit that bell icon to turn your notifications on so you're alerted when we make a new upload so you don't miss any of our videos. And the more people that subscribe, the better videos we can do. The heart of this new Mercedes-AMG A45 is, of course, its 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. In the normal car, it has 387 horsepower and 480 Newton meters of torque. But in this S version, which is the one you want, it has 500 Newton meters of torque and 421 horsepower. Oh yeah. And of course, it's hand-built in Alfalterbach, in this case by a man called Mr. Giuseppe. This is not an Abarth, is it? It is Mercedes. This old A45 also has a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine, only it has 381 horsepower and 475 Newton meters of torque. Now let's compare how these cars sound, starting with the old A45. Now, let's listen to the new car. Which do you think sounds the best? Click up there on the pop-out banner to let me know. Personally, I actually think the old car sounds better. There is something special about this new A45. The S version has a rear limited slip differential, so the 4-wheel drive system can send 50% of the engine's power to the back, and then that differential can then send 100% of that available power to either of the rear wheels, and it can actually juggle the amount of power to improve cornering, and it can overspeed the outer wheel to get the car turning in faster, and it can even make it drift. To put the car into drift mode, you put the drive select into race. You then press and hold the stability control button to turn the stability off. You then put the gearbox into manual mode, and then you pull up both pedals, confirm that you want to go into drift mode by pressing the up button. Drift mode is active. Let's do it. It definitely drifts. So one of the main differences about this system compared to a rear-wheel drive car is that you actually turn more into the corner to make it skid, because then it sends power to the outside rear wheel and it sends you more sideways. An AMG should always be able to go sideways. Yeah, mum. Drift king. Okay, so this old A45 may not have drift mode, but it does have launch control through its 7-speed dual clutch automatic gearbox. To engage it, I just have to put the car into manual for the gearbox. I then put the ESP stability control into sport. I pull up on both pedals. There we go, it asks me if I want race start, confirm, yes I do. And now, we're good to go. Oh, it feels quick there. Come on. And that's the 60 mile an hour. It did 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. So now I'm in the new A45 and it has an 8-speed dual clutch automatic gearbox with launch control. I want you to click up there on the pop-out banner to see if you can guess the time difference, if any, between this new car and the old car. Now to launch it's quite easy. So I just put the car into Sport Plus or race mode, There's no faffing around with the paddles and disclaimers by clicking up. You just left foot on the brake, floor the throttle and go. That feels more aggressive. My gosh, that is noticeably quicker. So much so, so much so, I have lost the ability to speak. According to my arse, that was a lot quicker. What do the numbers say? Bloomin' heck. This car did 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. Almost a whole second quicker than the old A45. Now I know what you're thinking, Matt, wouldn't it be nice if you had an RS3 to compare it against? See how quick that is? Well, it just so happens. Okay, so I'm back in the UK in a new Audi RS3 and I'm going to launch it. So to do that, I put it into dynamic mode. I press and hold the stability control button to turn it off for maximum traction. Put the gearbox into drive, make sure it's in sport, left foot on the brake, floor the throttle. Oh yeah, here we go. It's not quite as fast off the line as the Mercedes, but then it really flies. And that is a 60, no problem at all. And it did 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. So not quite as quick as the new A45. Speaking of which, let's go back to the video to continue the comparison with the old A45. What I'm going to do now is compare the car's performance when you're driving along. So the idea is that you're in sports mode, the gearbox is in sport, but it's in automatic, cruising along at 80 kilometers an hour, which is about 50 miles an hour. I'm going to count it in and we're going to floor the throttles and see how the gearboxes react and how well the engines pull. 3, 2, 1, go! Kicked down pretty well. And now I'm just dropping him. I can see him not too far away, but that is enough of that. You can see that this car kicked down really nicely and the engine is strong. It builds really well. And you can see the difference. Yeah, got a nice lead there. Having a fast car is all well and good, but you need them to be able to stop well if you're not going to end up dead. So both these cars have 330mm discs at the back, 350mm at the front, but the difference is that while this car has 4 piston calipers at the front, this one has 6 piston calipers. However, this car weighs 1,635 kilos, whereas this one is 1,555. So this new car is a whole man heavier than that one. So how will that play out? I've got my specialist timing gear again and I'm going to accelerate up to 50 miles an hour, then do a full emergency stop to see how long it takes each car to stop from 50. So let's start with the old AMG. Here we go. That stopped from 50 in 27.1 meters. I've now switched into the new A45 and I'm going to repeat the test, but before I do, click on the pop-out banner up there to vote what you think will happen. Will this car brake in a shorter distance than the old one? Okay, let's find out. It stopped from 50 miles an hour in 26 meters, so 1 meter shorter. Now we need to broach the vulgar subject of money. So back in the day, this old A45 was £42,000. In the UK, we only get the A45 S, and that's going to be about £50,000. Now, if you want to see how much money you can save on a new car, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link below the video to go to CarWow. Also, if you're watching in Spain or Germany, good news! We have a Spanish and a German version of CarWow, and their links are below the video as well. Let's talk about these cars' designs. So the new A-Class is a beautiful car, but this AMG version just takes it up a notch. So you've got a proper AMG grille like you don't get on the lesser A35, deep front splitter as well. It looks really aggressive. Down the side, the S version comes as standard with 19-inch alloy wheels. Of course, it's lower to the ground than the normal A-Class. You've got stiffer suspension as well for improved road holding. It's also got slightly wider front track as well for improved grip. Here at the back you have a roof spoiler, and if that's not big enough for you, you can get an aerodynamic package which includes a bigger spoiler, much more noticeable. I like that. What I'm not so keen on is this. Look, we have some fake ventage there, which is unnecessary, but the thing that really offends me is this, look. So you think you've got quad exhaust pipes, but if you look in there, there's only actually one exhaust. This is all just fake. And I scratched it. It deserved it. In fairness to the new A45, it looks like it copied the fakery from the old car, as I'll demonstrate now with the carwow stick of truth again. Look, it's got that silly exhaust thing going on, 2 pipes there, but actually there's just one deep inside, and this vent is fake as well. Now the rest of the design, the old A-Class, let's be honest, it was a smart looking car, but it just doesn't look as sleek. Also, I do really like the new AMG grille. Didn't at first, I preferred the traditional one, but when you look at it now, it's starting to look a bit old-fashioned, isn't it? The interior has aged even worse. I mean, look at it. I remember actually quite liking it back in the day, but now I don't know what was wrong with me. Look at all these buttons here and the infotainment system. Look at that and all that bezel. It's an absolute joke. The only thing I do like are classy analog dials for that retro effect. Truth be told though, digital dials are way more useful because you can just show so much more stuff. And this being the AMG has bespoke AMG dials, lovely, eh? And then you've got this wonderful infotainment system which just makes the one in the old car feel so archaic. So does the whole interior design. It's super cool. Quality is way better. For instance, the seats, they are just awesome, and things just feel nicer to touch, apart from one, and that's the gear selector. The one in the old car is kind of solid, but it's not actually as useful because it's down here, and it's just much easier to use this one up here because it's only a steering column. This is such an improvement. For a small sporty car, it's actually all right in the back. As you can see, I've got a decent amount of room. I like the fact that it's brightened up by this yellow stitching, but my favourite thing is this. Look, you've got a sort of smiley face there. You can make talk.
Hello, I'm the new A45. I am a fun car to drive.
Let's move on to the boot. So, it has a nice square usable shape, and it has 370 litres of load space, which is all right. What's less all right is the old car's 340 litres of load space, but the most annoying thing about this car's boot is the way the rear lights just reduce the amount of space you've got to actually shove stuff in there. The old A45's back seats also aren't as good. This sloping roofline means that if the driver suddenly goes around a corner quickly, I'm going to smack my head off it and end up with concussion. And I can't even cheer myself up by playing with a smiley face. Look, it just doesn't work. Obviously, practicality does matter with a hot hatch, but not as much as how it makes you feel when you drive it. So here in the old A45, and it's quick. You can cover ground very fast in this car. But there's just something a little bit detached about it, a little bit aloof. You don't feel fully involved. Good, but not quite good enough. Jumping out of the old A45 and into this new one, it's almost like I had concussion from doing that demonstration and banging my head earlier in the review, and it's now cleared, and I've once again got full control of my senses because I can just feel so much more through this car, more through my hands through the steering wheel, more through my feet through the brake pedal, more through my bottom through the seat and through the chassis. It is just the more involving car. Then there's the engine. So it's not quite so boosty, yet it revs higher, and peak torque comes in later, and that encourages you to really give it a jolly good thrashing, which I like about it. Overall, this is definitely a more fun car to drive. It can't quite deliver the same level of and giggles as the rear drive BMW M2 competition, but I just trust it so much more on a road like this, where my life could very much be in danger. It just goes like an absolute beast. Now, when you're not in the mood for hooning around, it's actually all right. So this one has the adaptive dampers, press a button, and it softens them up so it's nice and comfortable. My only real complaint when cruising in this car is that you get quite a lot of road noise from the tyres. Now you're probably thinking, Matt, I do not give a toss about that stuff. What I really want to know is what the car is like on track. Well, I'm actually quite close to Harama Racing Circuit, and earlier today I actually drove this car on track, and so here's a clip of me driving on circuit for some insights into what it felt like. Oh. Power, come on! Yes!
How was it, man?
Yeah, it was awesome. Where's lunch anyway? It's over there, yeah? Now I was being a little bit flippant with that last segment, but I was just trying to sum up the fact this car, it doesn't really need any words to describe it. I remember when this old one came out, I was amazed by it, but this thing just moves the game on by quite some margin. It is an awesome hot hatch, and if you've got one of these, sell it now and get one of them. And that's all I have to say on the matter.
So
I'm not telling you what it did. You'll see.
What?
So that, that's a surprise of the cameraman. He wasn't expecting that. You weren't expecting that.
No. What's it meant to do for?
I've no idea. It doesn't really matter what it's meant to do. What it really does is bloody amazing.